Hi guys, the Middle Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be listing off the top 10 albums that need to be re-released. Now these albums are albums that either were re-released once, or they are albums that never had a re-release at all. Also, there will only be there's one album on this list that's not really an album; it's an EP. But I put it on this list because I think it needs to be on this list, which I'll get to eventually in the video. Yeah. So this list is in order of the lowest stuff on the list are albums that are easier to find. Then the higher stuff up on the list are albums that are extremely hard to find. Alright, with that, let's begin. Number 10. Alright. At number 10... Alright, at number 10 is the Death Album 3 by Death Clock. Yeah, this album was released back in 2012. And has never been re-released. Let me fix this really quick. I have a pile here that over. Okay, sorry about that. I had a pile of CDs that kind of fell over. Anyway, this was released back in 2012 and never saw a re-release. Basically for an obvious reason that the TV show company Adult Swim, when they canceled the TV show Metalocalypse, they basically pulled all merchandise from shelves, both at actual stores and online for the most part. Yeah, so even though this is still pretty readily available, it's technically a limited quantity. So whatever's still out there is out there. Whenever it's gone for good. Now the reason also I put this so low, yes, it needs the re-release because it's never had a re-release, but it's still kind of easier to find. The reason why I put this so low is because you could kind of still find this album, but unfortunately 9 times out of 10 it'll be the really crappy deluxe edition. And yeah, a lot of you are like, why is the deluxe edition crappy? Well, even though it does have a lot of bonus features on the second disc, the actual audio quality is actually not as good as the standard version. And because of that, so many people bought up the standard version, to the point where the standard version, the superior version in audio quality and artwork, by the way, is almost impossible to find. But again, I have it lower on the list because it is easier to find, even though it's this version that's still readily available. But yeah, that's at number 10. Alright, number 9. Number 9 is Jugulator by Judas Priest. Now, this album has never, just like with the standard version of the Death Album 3, this album has never had a I guess standard and a deluxe edition, but just like with the Death Album 3, this album has never had a re-release. Judas Priest are basically have been for years actively trying to wipe this album from history. Don't know why, but anyway. Now the CD version though is actually pretty easy to find, but it's kind of expensive, a little bit more expensive than it should be, but it's not that big a deal at the moment. But I'm pretty sure in years to come it's going to be pretty expensive. But the vinyl version of this is almost impossible to find. And if you do find it, it goes for ridiculous amounts of money. Sometimes, I mean, once in a while, there'll be a listing on eBay of the vinyl version in mint condition for a reasonable price. but a lot of the times the listings don't have a reasonable price. Kind of like the CD version. But yeah, the reason why it's lower on the list because the CD versions are actually pretty available. You could probably find them both on Amazon and eBay. But yeah, this does need a re-release because even though you could still find it, it's still pretty it's very expensive for the most part. But yeah, just a really awesome album that deserves to be re-released. Yeah, it's at number 9. Number 8. Number 8 is Fistful of Metal by Anthrax. Now, this is a re-released version, but it is the 1990 re-release, or 1992 re-release, sorry, it's a 1992 re-release, but here's the thing, this album, that's the only time, 1992 was the only time this album was re-released. So, yeah, even though it was re-released, it's been so long since that re-release was out, that it's kind of harder to find. Again, not really that hard, but you do have to kind of be patient until a listing can come up on either Amazon or eBay. And then again, it's not that expensive, but, you know, it is one you have to be patient for a listing to come up for a copy. But yeah, it's just something that needs a re-release because, I mean, it should be more available to fans than it is at the moment. Because this is actually one of my favorite thrash albums. I don't like standard thrash all that much, but this is an amazing album. And Neil Turbin is such an underrated metal vocalist. And I think he's basically, in my opinion, he's better than any other vocalist that has ever been in Anthrax. Yes, he's better than Tony Bonadella. He's better than the other guy. I can't remember his name at the moment. But Anthrax has never sounded so good than with Neil Turbin. But yeah, just an amazing album. Definitely needs a re-release. All right. What number I'm at now? 10, 9, I think. Oh, I think I'm at number 7. Hold on. Today's been a weird day. I think I'm at number 10, 9, 8. Oh yeah, I'm at number 7. I'm sorry, I completely lost track there. But yeah, I'm at number 7. At number 7 is the album Forbidden by Black Sabbath. Yeah, it's kind of the forgotten album of Black Sabbath, other than maybe, what was it called? The Eternal Idol, I think that other one was called. But, yeah, it's just a really awesome album that gets looked over. I don't know why exactly. People just sort of, they don't really shun it, but they do sort of purposely ignore it. Even fans of the Tony Martin era ignore it. Again, I don't know why. But it's just a really good album. And by far one of, if not their best. And it's never had a re-release, ever. I know, I've heard that Tony Martin is trying to get it re-released, but I think if I remember correctly, he's still trying to get the record label to agree to have at least a limited amount of re-releases. Yeah, just a really, really good album. Yeah, it has its weak points, but I mean, even then, it's still something worth re-releasing. But yeah, really awesome album. This one, even though it's actually kind of hard to find, it doesn't go for that much. Usually, harder to find albums go for ridiculous prices most times. But this one actually goes for, whenever you do find it, actually goes for a pretty reasonable price. Like anywhere from like I think 30 to maybe 50. But even then, that's not that bad. Considering that 99% of the time they're mint condition versions. Um, but yeah, just a really, really good album, and it needs a re-release. It's number 7. Oh, ooh. Oh, knock that over. All right, number 6. Number 6 is a live album, and that is Beast Over Hammersmith by Iron Maiden. This album's kind of odd, because even though it was recorded in '82, it wasn't released until 80. No, it wasn't actually released until 2000 and something. What 2000 and yeah, it was recorded in '83 and only released in 2002. And from what I gather, this was only ever released in a box set, called The First 10 Years. I don't know if this was ever released on vinyl. Wait a minute. Yeah, it was released on vinyl because there was a vinyl box set and a CD box set. I don't know how rare the vinyl version of the box set is, but the CD box set is almost like nigh impossible to actually acquire. Yeah, even if you do find it, it goes for ridiculous amounts of money, and it's always used. It's never in mint condition. I think there was like one listing that I saw that was in mint condition. It went for like something ridiculous, like what was it again? Like I want to say $1,000, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember exactly, but it was around that price, and I was really dumb. Like that's way too much money. But um, yeah, it's just a really awesome live album, and the fact that you could only like, even if you do find this by itself, like if someone's selling it by itself, for the most part, it's going to be used in good condition. This one I actually found in mint condition. Now, unfortunately, during shipping, the case kind of cracked a bit at the back here, and there's like a little gouge in the side here. But I mean, that's not a big deal because the disc is fine. The actual pamphlets are fine, and I could replace the case anytime I want to if it gets too bad. But yeah, it's just a really good album. Something that really needs to be re-released. But I don't know if Iron Maiden will ever re-release this live album. Considering the one reason why they waited so long to release this live album in the first place is because Steve Harris thought that the audio quality was terrible. Even though it's not terrible at all. It is actually really good. But yeah, just a live album. Out of any live album, this is definitely one that needs to be re-released. Just so good. Also, before I get on to the next one, I just want to mention the amazing live rendition of Phantom of the Opera. This is probably the fastest they've ever played that song, and it's just so good. It sounds the best it's ever sounded, and it's at warp speed too. So, yeah. Um, yeah, it's at number 6. All right, hold on. All right, number 4. Number 4 is "Rock You to Hell" by Grim Reaper. Yes, I could have put the first album on here, but there's one reason why I didn't. The reason why I didn't put the first one on here is because even though the CD version of the first album, "See You in Hell," is extremely hard to find. The vinyl version is actually really easy to find. Like, you could pick up the vinyl version with no problem. But the CD version is kind of hard to find. But with this album, both the CD and vinyl versions are extremely hard to find. Yeah, I got this in mint condition, and I really wish I could just go on Amazon and just pick this up with no problem. But I had to kind of scour eBay for a few minutes to find this one. Yeah, it's just a really great album, and in my opinion, it's the best thing Grim Reaper has ever done. Actually, you know also how hard this is to find. I had to get this as a Japanese import. As you can see there. But yeah, it's just a really, really great album that definitely needs more attention, and it definitely needs to be re-released. But yeah. Alright. What am I at? Number 4, 3? Yeah, number 4. At number 4 is the album Power Metal by Pantera. Now, out of all their 80s albums, this is probably the best of the bunch. And I say probably because I haven't really decided yet. I have heard pretty much their entire discography, pretty freshly too. Like, I just finished, like, I'm about to finish the only album I haven't heard yet, which is Projects in the Jungle. I haven't finished that one. I've got like halfway through it so far. This so far is probably their best. I can't say because I haven't really decided yet. What I think of it, what I think is their best album. I probably won't share my decision even if I do make it until I do a ranking of these albums, which I will do at some point. I just don't know when. Yeah, just a really, really good album. All 4 of the first Pantera albums are stupidly overlooked and ignored just because the band themselves, because, like, you know, I don't know if they're ashamed or not too proud of the earlier stuff, or just for some reason just don't want, to bother with re-releasing their old stuff because it may just be too much of an effort. I don't know. But they should. They should re-release their first 4 albums, and especially this one, because this is just so good. It's so good. Yeah, there's like one song on here that is just kind of meh, but like the rest of the songs are actually pretty good. But yeah, just a really awesome album that needs to be re-released. If not, their entirety of their first 4 albums should be re-released. Also, the reason why it's really high up on the list is because both the CD version and the vinyl version are almost impossible to find. I just managed to be browsing eBay one day and find this one. But yeah. Alright, number 3. Number 3 is the album Hallowed by the band Hallowed. Now, this is a re-release, and this was only not too long ago, actually. This was, when was it? I believe, 2018. But here's the thing. I think the CD as well, but the CD version and then this vinyl version was really re-released. But if I remember correctly, it was 2 different companies. One company re-released it on vinyl, which is this company, the Diabolic Might Records, and then I don't remember the name of the company that released the CD version, but I don't think it's the same company. Both this version and then the CD version were limited to like 500 copies, which is dumb. I hate that. I hate when companies, like, whether it be albums or movies or whatever, say, oh, we're just going to release these on limited quality, get them while you still can, because that just, I don't know, that's just really dickish to me. That's a really dickish move, where like, oh, you didn't get it in time, too bad for you. You know, I just don't like that. I don't like when companies do that. It's just really, just pictures them as big jerks. I don't know, it's just stupid to me. Anyway, sorry about the rant. I just think that's really idiotic. Yeah, this is a great album. Yeah, it's a patchy album, technically speaking, where to me, there's only really, like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 good songs out of, uh, um, 10, technically, because there are 2 bonus tracks, but I haven't heard those yet. But, the songs that are good on this album are amazing. So much so that even if you just buy this album for those 4 songs that are really, really good, it's definitely worth it because how good they are. Now, like I said, this and the CD version was only ever released in only ever re-released. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's okay. Both this and the CD version were only ever re-released and once, and again limited to 500 copies each. And these both the CD version and the vinyl version are so hard to find that at one point, like, there were like listings for both this and this, and the CD version and this version. Like, there's no listings for any version on here on eBay at all anymore. And then on CD, there's only two CD listings on Amazon. One is a seller that I do not recommend because I did get ripped off. I'll share that story probably in some other video, but I did get ripped off by one of the Amazon sellers, so avoid trying to buy that CD on there. And then there's another listing, but it's like $900, which is ridiculous. Yeah, so this album is probably in the future going to be absolutely impossible to find unless they re-release it, which I hope they do because this is such a good album. Again, there's only really 4 good songs, but those 4 good songs are some of the best things I've ever heard of, like, old school heavy metal. But yeah, just a really awesome album that needs a re-release. And no, if they ever do re-release this album, I hope they don't do the stupid limited to 500 copies thing again. But yeah, this is at number 3. Alright, at number 2. At number 2 is Year of the Goat by Morbid. Yes, this is a compilation album, but still, like, they never released a full album, so what do you expect? This is a compilation of their December Moon EP, combined with a few different recordings from a few live shows. This is probably even harder to find than the album Hallowed. It's just one of those things where, like, because the band wasn't, I guess, not really that widely known or recognized, that they didn't have the resources to get a very good, representative for sales. Like, I believe the original, December Moon EP, was only ever released on vinyl. Actually, speaking of the December Moon EP, if I could get that out of here, hold on. Where did I put it? Oh, no, that's not it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's in alphabetical order, but kind of forgot what I don't really, actively look. I just picked something up and listened to it. Anyway, this version of the EP apparently is not an official version. It's actually a bootleg. I'm pretty sure, because, like I said, from my knowledge, the only version of the original release was on vinyl, and it was never ever had a proper re-release besides this. Um, yeah, so I mean, you could pick this up at for like around, I don't know, $15 at the very least, mint condition. But if you want this one, which is definitely the one to go for because it does have a bunch of extra stuff, you're gonna have to look long and hard, and even if you do find it, you're gonna have to pay a lot for it, around like $50 at the very least. Now, unfortunately, Amazon doesn't sell this anymore. Yeah, they still have the page up. But when you go to it, says we don't know if we'll ever get this back in, which I don't know why Amazon does that. It's like they get your hopes up, then you go to the page that lists it and like, oh, sorry, we don't know if we'll ever get back in. Well, if they don't know, they should just take down the listing. I hate when they do that. It's just, I don't know. It's very, very bizarre that they do that. They don't just take down the listing if they don't ever know if they're gonna get something back in. Anyway, sorry about another rant. Yeah, it's just a really, really good EP. Combined with some really awesome live audio. Although I will say, I don't know if I said this in the video where I think I did a review of this, or I don't know, not a really proper review. I think I just showed this in an update video. I don't know. I have to look back and see. But the first set of live recordings of this show live at Birkin Garden, even though that is amazing. The other two live shows, the other two audio for the other two live shows is terrible. Like, it's definitely, you could hear the audio is definitely degraded over time. Also, the audio, from what I hear, it probably wasn't even good in the first place. But everything else about this is amazing. The December Moon EP itself is great. The rehearsal tracks are great, sound great. The live at Birkin Garden sounds great. And then, of course, the probably best highlight of the entire thing is you open it up, and then there's a in-depth read-up of the band and the history of the band, and there's some awesome behind-the-scenes photos as well. But yeah, it's just something that is extremely hard to find, especially if you're trying to get the vinyl version. Like, yes, even though... Oh, what the? That's interesting. I don't know why it's in here, but you could kind of see it. But like, there's actual drawings on the inside, which I didn't even notice because it's not even like you flip it out. Like, there's a flap or anything. It's just on the inside. But if you're gonna get the CD version, be prepared to like pay up a bit. Like, I know, like I said, around $50. But the vinyl version is even harder to find. Like, yeah, the CD version is extremely hard to find, but the vinyl version is even more so, considering that, like, I've only seen a couple listings on eBay from time to time, and whenever those pop up, even if, like, they can range anywhere from $300 to $600. Even if you're going for a used but in good condition version of the vinyl, it still costs a super ridiculous amount of money. Like, if anything, like, here's the thing. I would have paid, like, if they had the vinyl version for, like, $100, maybe $200 at the very least. Hold on, let me get this stupid thing out of the way. There we go. Sorry, there was a notification on there. Anyway, even if, like, I would have paid, like, maybe, like, $100, $200 at the most. But, yeah, just hopefully... at one point, the vinyl, I'll see a listing for the vinyl that's not that much, that's not ridiculous priced, and I'll probably get it, but it's probably not going to happen, considering that, what the hell? Hold on. Sorry, I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties today. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, just an amazing compilation album from one of the most underrated bands ever. And it's definitely something that, even though I'm really stuttering now. Even though it's extremely hard to find, it's definitely something worth looking for and picking up if you love extreme metal and extreme metal, early death metal, early black metal. Just this is definitely something that I highly highly recommend. And if you can, if you don't have the money for like anywhere from a hundred to like $600 for the vinyl, definitely try to seek out the CD version, which is significantly less money. Um, yeah. All right, number one. Finally, getting to number one. Number one is one that I don't actually own at the moment, but I will soon. Number one is the EP "I Will Be There" by Gog Magog. Yeah, it's something that it's an EP, but I had to have it on the list because it is something that if you're a fan of Paul Di'Anno, it's something you must have in your collection because it's just so good. It's a 3-track EP, and it was never ever re-released, so it's extremely hard to find. And considering that when it was initially released, it was in 1985, and so, it's been a long time since it ever saw the light of day on store shelves. Now, yes, a lot of people look over this because even Paul Di'Anno says, "Oh, it was just a failed attempt." Da da da. But even though to him and everyone involved, it was a failed attempt, it's not really, considering that it sounds so good. Now, because it was never re-released, and because they never ever intend on re-releasing it, it's probably the hardest and most elusive thing to find in terms of everything that I've come across, every album I've come across so far, ever since I started collecting albums. It's definitely something that if you see it once, don't hesitate to buy it because you never know when you'll find a listing for it again. Luckily, not too long ago, I think about a week ago, I found a listing for it in mint condition on eBay. I bought it right away, and it should be here by the 17th, but I probably won't do a review on it until the 19th because I am busy both the 17th and 18th, so I will do a review on it when it gets here. But yeah, Gog Magog, I Will Be There, is at number one of something that an EP, even though it's not an album, it's a release, by a band that needs a re-release because it's just so good yet so almost impossible to find. But yeah, so God, this is 33 minutes long already. But yeah, so that's about it. And I'm sorry if I went off on some just weird tangents here and there about, Amazon and stuff. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.